Hello, everyone. The Overtime Gang is here with you again with some bonus Nick 10 preseason football coverage. Scott Leber, Reagan Holgate, and Tim Bailey.
We're going to give you our player watch list for this season in the conference. Each of us has picked out 5 players who we think will have major impacts on the conference race, and we're excited to see. Tim, we're going to start with you. Give us your 5.
Oh, wow, this was rough for me, but I had to do it. But Connor Dennis, Boylan quarterback, just having a phenomenal career. His third year on the varsity level, put up some really good numbers last year. Nick 10 MVP. I look for him to come out this year and have another big year and actually contend for that MVP again this year. So he was my number one. Isaiah Huey, running back, DB, Hononegah, Mr. Do-It-All, Mr. Utility. You can't say enough about his athleticism and his will to win and his energy that he brings to the Hononegah Indians program. Number 3 here, Jamani Muhammad, running back. Like I said, this kid can make you miss in the phone booth. I mean, he's very dangerous in open field. Not the biggest guy, but hey, you know what? He gets it done with his speed. Number 4 here, Nico Bertolino. Again, a phenomenal speedster for Belvedere North. I think he's going to have a big year. I like what he did last year. I think he's going to be able to duplicate that, or maybe even supersede it. Lastly, but not least, Javius Catlin. I'm hoping that he can go out with the bang. I know about a week ago there was a clip showed here that he talked about, going out his senior year with the bang. I hope he can do that. Hopefully he stays healthy and he's able to do that. So that's my top 5.
Those last 4 guys will make a heck of a relay team. That is some serious speed there. Reagan, who are you looking at this year?
All right, let's see it. Isaiah Huey, again, we've talked about it. I actually got to talk to him when I was out at Hononegah practice, and we heard that quote that he said there, and it kind of left him shocked a little bit. He thinks Hononegah is the best team in the conference. He's like, I would put us up against everybody else. And
hey,
Tim,
I get it. I get the confidence. I get it. But wow, that took me by surprise.
That shook Tim a little bit. All right, Nico Bertolino too. I was out at Belvedere North as well, and he told me, he was like, we just have a lot of speed, and I think we're going to see that both sides of the ball, obviously, from him. And then Connor Dennis again, reigning MVP, you can't really question that there at all. But I will say it was a challenge for me. Connor Dennis, and I really like Cole Warren this season too. But I'm still going to go with Dennis. Jamani Muhammad, obviously, he's just so fast. And I know you said, obviously, he doesn't have that size. But, Scott, you were out at Harlem's practice, right? And he looked like he had put on at least some weight a little bit. Like he looked
good.
A little
Well, he's maturing. I mean, he's worked really hard. That's one of the best things
Yeah.
about him, according to his coach. Coach Moynihan he's just a really hard worker, and he obviously got after it this year.
Yeah, going to be a treat to watch this year.
And before sometimes we don't give the line enough credit. We don't give the big man up front enough credit. I mean, come on. Give me Baron Scholl from Boylan. He's got a lot of D1 offers out there. I'm all in.
Good pick.
I'm going to be watching Baron,
Yeah.
Nice. I'm going to be watching all those guys. I'm going a little bit different from you guys because I wanted to get some other key players in there
here we go.
who I think are going to make a huge difference here. If you're right now, I'm going with Patrick DeBose Jr. first because we got a lot of speedsters who run away from people in the Nick 10.
Power.
But I love a guy who just runs over people.
Runs through them.
As long as it's not me on the sideline. If I see Patrick coming toward me, I'm getting out of there with the camera.
Amen,
But
amen.
he just runs over people. And so I enjoy watching that, as long as it's not me. Now, Diedrich Macon of Freeport, I think, because we talked about Isaiah Huey being one of those all-around players who can pretty much do anything. I think Diedrich is in that same category because he can run with the ball, he can catch the ball, he can throw the ball, he can return kicks. So I'm really excited to watch Diedrich this year. Damian Hoffman, wide receiver from Guilford. I saw him make some great leaping catches last year with Skylar Wolf throwing the ball. He's got a tremendous catch radius, great hands, not afraid to go over the middle. So I'm excited to watch him do his thing. And I will get in a couple other quarterbacks. Cole Warren of Hononegah, running that run-pass option. He does that as well as anybody. He's probably the best running quarterback in the Nick 10. But he can also throw the ball. And then you got Sebastian Brecious of Jefferson. How much they're going to throw the ball at Jefferson this year remains to be seen. But when they do need to throw it, you can't go wrong with Sebastian Brecious. He's got good size, he can wing it, and he still has some good receivers there. So, Hey, that's a lot of impressive players in the Nick 10
Yeah,
this year. I
That's-
think it's going to be a lot of fun. Isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Now, if you remember last year, Tim here predicted the Boylan Titans would win the Nick 10, and they did, didn't they?
They did. They did. Yes, they did.
But do you remember the bold prediction that you made? Do you remember preview show? You made a very bold prediction. Okay.
Remember, like night and day.
Yes. And you're out to defend your championship, obviously. Tell us who you think is going to win it this year.
You know, Boylan's the way that they're stacked offensively, and they bring some key pieces back on defense as well. You know, just the actual, just the camaraderie that they have over there and the standard and the culture. And just based on, again, what they did last year, and again, don't mean to be repetitive, but look who they bring back. They bring back some really, really good players that I think that are going to actually be key players in the Nick 10 this year.
Belvedere North at the bottom, though. Really, is this in order? I mean, this is in order, right? We're not including ties in here, but
this is
BN
it.
at the bottom.
This is it. Yeah, Hononegah. I mean, look what Hononegah brings back. I'm going by what these teams are bringing back,
Yeah.
and they bring back some valuable players. Hononegah brings back Warren, a great quarterback in the Nick 10, probably one of the better quarterbacks in the area, in my estimation. They got Huey. He's going to do some big things. He's on both sides of the ball. He's a kick returner, punt returner. So he's going to have an opportunity to do some things with the ball pretty much every time he's on the field, and which again, he can actually go, the distance at any time as well on kickoff and punt return. Harlem bring key pieces back too. I mean, you gotta appreciate what the coaches have been able to do over there. Really establish that culture, set the standard, and they've raised the standard. They bring Muhammad back, and again, he's only a junior. I know we talked about last year, he was only a sophomore, but now we're saying he's only a junior. So this kid's got another year. I think in the years to come, Harlem's going to be a really good team. But this year, Harlem is my number 3. Guilford, number 4. Had a really great run last year. I think they're going to really build off that and really be able to do some sound things in the conference this year. And sitting at number 5, I mean, Belvedere North, I mean, look what they bring back. You got Brown coming back, and you got Bertolino coming back. And you got their starting quarterback coming back as well. And you got some key pieces on the offensive line coming back. They're not going to be a large team. They're going to be a small team. But I think they're going to really execute on both sides of the ball. And I think, that's why I chose them as my number 5.
Reagan, we're going to hand the ball off to you now.
All right,
Okay, you agree with Tim? Is it the Titans?
No, sorry guys, I don't agree. I mean, I think the Titans are definitely going to run the table. There's no question about that. But I'm going to go with the Hononegah Indians. I don't know what it is about this team. I was out at that practice. Coach Zimmerman is back. He's back this season. We talked about that last year about what it's like kind of when your head coach is out. But he's back this season. They've obviously got Cole Warren. They have Huey. They have, they're building up their defense because, again, Tim, you've said a lot last season that their defense, the defensive side of the ball was their Achilles heel, right?
Absolutely.
Exactly. And we're seeing a lot of improvements there, linebacker core, the entirety of it. So I'm excited to see them, and I think they've got what it takes. And, I like the confidence. I always like some confidence in these boys, and they seem excited
There's
about
a
it.
difference between confidence and cockiness.
Okay, hey,
Right?
I'm
just going to put that out there.
All right,
okay?
all right. I think you're a little bit cocky out here, maybe. Okay. Boylan
That
number
hurt.
2.
That hurt, Reagan.
We hope you come back next week, Tim.
Okay.
Not if
Boylan-
she's here.
All right, I'm going with the Titans at number 2, but I don't know if I necessarily agree with you with Belvedere North that low. Again, we're not accounting for ties here. I think it's going to be very similar. I think it's going to be another tight race like it was last season, where we have 3 teams, 4 teams tied in second place, maybe even that. But Belvedere North, I think, is going to be up there. They have their speedsters back. Joe Brown, obviously back from that injury, and I think he's an important key piece on both sides of the ball. Obviously, having Max Gillenswan back at quarterback will help them. And they have, a bunch of young guys coming up from their fresh soft team, so I think that helps them too. And I like Harlem's confidence too. You never know what's going to happen in the Nick 10. I feel like we're giving you these predictions and we just don't know. But I'm gonna
be
round
going
it out
left.
with Guilford. But hey, maybe they'll surprise me. You never know. Scott.
Well, I
Give me
think
what
we
you got.
all agree on the same 5. It's just, okay, what
Yeah,
order
right,
are we
order,
putting?
order, yep.
Right.
And I will say this, I think any one of these 5 teams could win it because I think
Absolutely.
the margin, you look at this list 1 through 5, if we put mine up there, and you think, well, there's a huge gap between 1 and 5. No, there's not. It's going to be really close. I think it's going to go down to the last week like it did last season.
I can see
and,
that.
And these,
Yeah.
we could have co-champs, we could have tri-champs. One game could separate all these guys. But anyway, I'm going with Reagan's pick. I like Hananiga. I just think
Let's go.
they've got all the pieces. They've got that veteran quarterback in Cole Warren. They've got the huge lineman. They got Hui doing his thing. They got a lot of depth. So I think this is their year. I got Harlem second. That defense with all that speed, I'm really anxious to see if they can, as Mr. Johnson predicted, make life miserable for opposing quarterbacks with their pass rush. So, but I think, Derek Anderson, their quarterback, I think is the key, because he did start 2 games last year, but I need to see it, a larger example from him, sample from him, to see what he can do. But there,
agree.
Harlem's loaded. I'm going with Boylan third. Again, it's a close number 3, then Belvedere, and then the Guilford Vikings, Belvedere North, I should say. But yeah, we've all got the same 5.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's going to be a great season. Okay, now that we've angered a bunch of you, send your hate mail to Tim Bailey because
all
he has
there.
thick skin.
Don't send them to me.
Send your
Send them here.
Send
Send them here.
positive
No,
stuff.
This lady here's got thick
Comment.
skin.
Yeah, no.
And you know what? Just send me some gift cards. That'll work for me. So that's kind of how we roll here. Okay. Now, Tim, you're going to branch out a little bit with a new podcast. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I'm coming out launching a new podcast on August 28th called The Bailey Pod. And the basis of the podcast is to sort of reconnect with ex-players, connect with also to current players, pro athletes, pretty much from every sport. This is just not going to be a podcast show that's really built around, and the basis of it is really football, even though I am a football guy. But, it's going to be a very diverse show, and I'm excited, and I can't wait to launch it.
All right. Well, looking forward to that.
Do we get to be guests on it?
Absolutely.
Not if you
Come
keep,
on. I know if I
saying
keep
bad
it.
things
I know you-
about Tim, right?
I mean, come on.
We're having a lot of fun out here.
I may have
Come
to
on.
charge you to come on. I mean,
Well, thanks everybody for joining us. Hey, be sure to join us on Overtime this Friday night, live at 11 p.m. as always on Fox 39. We're going to have your Week 1 highlights, Tim's analysis. So we'll see you all then.